All right, let's jump right in. We're about to look at one of the boldest educational shifts happening anywhere on the planet. India is pushing its entire system way beyond just digital learning and making a huge bet on a new mandate, becoming AI first. And let me tell you, this isn't just a small tweak, it's a complete overhaul from the ground up.
So you have to ask, why such a radical change? Well, this whole thing is a direct answer to a massive problem that's popping up in the job market. There's this growing disconnect between what students are learning in college and what industries are actually screaming for.
And this leads us to a pretty fundamental question. For decades, the advice was simple, right? Learn to code, get a job. But as we're heading into 2026, is that really the most important skill anymore? The data's telling us a very different story now.
Okay, now this is fascinating. Just look at the numbers for technical skills. The gap between the top colleges and the others, it's actually not that big. Why? Well, AI tools are kind of leveling the playing field, making technical stuff more accessible to everyone. But then you look at the non-technical, the soft skills, and bam, the gap is way wider. That right there, that's the new battleground.
And this is where this new term comes in, workplace readability. Think about it. It's not enough anymore to just use an AI tool. The real game changer is being able to take what an AI gives you, actually understand it, challenge it, and then explain to other people why it matters. It's all about working with AI, not just being a robot that operates it.
So you've got this new problem, this widening skills gap. What's India's answer? They're going all in. A huge, nationwide bet on an AI-first strategy, and they are putting some serious money behind it.
And the heart of this whole thing, a brand new Center of Excellence in AI for Education. And get this, it's backed by 500 crore rupees. We're talking about roughly 60 million US dollars. This isn't some small experiment. This is them planting a flag and saying, this is the future.
And the ambition doesn't stop with the money. The plan is to push AI literacy into the curriculum of 15,000 secondary schools. I mean, think about that. They're trying to build this knowledge from the ground up across the entire country.
You know, to pull this off, you can't just change the curriculum. You have to change who's working in the schools. And that's exactly what's happened. The number of teachers grew a bit, sure, but the number of people in tech support and instructional roles, it's skyrocketed by 118%. The groundwork for this AI revolution has been laid for years.
And if you want to see the proof, just follow the money. Look at this. Government funding for education shot up from about 84,000 crore rupees to nearly 129,000 crore in just 5 years. That's a huge jump. And you can bet a big chunk of that is going straight into making this AI dream a reality.
Okay, so we've talked big picture, the strategy, the money, but what does this actually mean for a student? What does it feel like inside the classroom now? Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
It really boils down to three main things. First, they're bringing AI into healthcare education. Think AI-powered diagnostics. Second, they're trying to supercharge what's called the orange economy. And third, and this one might be the most important piece of the whole puzzle, they're completely retraining teachers for this new world.
So, what on earth is the orange economy? Well, it's basically the creative industry. We're talking animation, video games, visual effects, comics, all that cool, creative content. And to make sure India's a major player, the government is building special labs in 500 colleges just to nurture this kind of talent. And this really gets to the absolute core of the transformation. The idea of a teacher just standing at the front of a room lecturing, that's quickly becoming a thing of the past. The future is the teacher as an AI facilitator. Their job isn't to have all the answers, but to be a guide, helping students use these incredibly powerful AI tools to solve actual, real-world problems. Now, let's be real. A plan this huge is never going to be easy. There are some major obstacles, some serious headwinds they're facing. And to get the full picture, we have to talk about them, starting with the classic problem, the brain drain. All right, get ready for this, because this statistic is pretty stark. For every one international student that comes to study in India,
A staggering 28 Indian students go study abroad. I mean, that is a huge imbalance. It's an outward tide of talent. So you can see why this new policy is also a big attempt to make the job market at home exciting enough to maybe, just maybe, turn that tide around. The other big challenge? Let's call it automation anxiety. We're all feeling it, right? As this quote points out, a lot of those standard entry-level jobs in fields like IT and media are just disappearing. They're being automated. And that is exactly why the curriculum is pivoting so hard toward things AI can't do well, like ethics and truly creative, complex problem solving.
Okay, so after all that, the money, the new curriculum, the teacher training, how do we know if any of it is actually working? What's the final score? Well, it all boils down to one number, one very specific, very important gap that they need to close. This is the ultimate test.
And here it is. This is the big one. A shocking 75% of higher education institutions, that means 3 out of every 4, are just not producing graduates who are ready for the modern job market. That huge chunk of the pie, that's the gap. And closing that gap is the whole point of this entire revolution.
And to put that into real-world terms, it means only a tiny fraction of colleges, about 17%, are actually getting most of their students hired within 6 months of graduating. The disconnect between the classroom and the workplace is it's severe.
So in the end, it really is that simple. The success or failure of this massive, multi-billion-dollar transformation will be judged on one thing and one thing only. How fast can they shrink that 75% industry readiness gap? Everything we've talked about, from the center of excellence to the government funding, is laser-focused on that one single target. Which leaves us with the big final question. They're throwing billions at this. They're rewriting the rules of education. They're retraining an entire generation of teachers. But is it enough? And more importantly, is it fast enough? Can India's education system really transform itself in time to win this high-stakes race against automation?